Hey guys and girls, hope you're all doing great this evening. You know, we've been, a lot of y'all have been ordering our Jimmy Houston Blaze Series rod and reels at jimmyhouston.com, and a lot of you have been picking them up at Bass Pro Shop, Cabela's, Walmart, and we've got really, it's been just great. These rod and reels sell for $79.99 retail for the rod and reel combination. It's a tremendously good spinning rod and reel combination. However, I've got a note or two from a couple of you that said, you know, I've not ever bought any spinning reels that didn't have line already on them. Now, you'll find on a lot of the low-end reels that you find in places that they put line on. The line is very cheap. You really don't hardly know half the time what pound test it is. Usually it is much lighter pound test than most fishermen fish with. So the really good combinations and really good spinning reels that you buy never have any line on them, never have any line on them. So I promised some of you that I would do another video showing you exactly how I wind line on a spinning reel. There's a couple little tricks to it that you really need to know, because if you're not careful, you'll wind line on here, and a couple things can happen. If you wind on braid, which is one of the things I recommend to do, if you wind on braid, you can get your braid on here, and the entire spool of line will turn. And so it's like you have no drag. The entire spool of line, not just a little bit of it, but the entire spool of line is turning on the spool itself because braid is so slick. I like to use 20-pound braid on these reels. Sometimes you use 15 or 10-pound braid. I use 20-pound braid. That way I've got good, strong line. If I'm in a pretty dingy water, a little bit dingier water, I'll tie my lures directly to that braid. In other words, I won't use any type of leader on it. Tie my lure directly to that braid. The braid is very difficult for the fish to see. Where we fish a lot of times in a lot of brush with my kids and grandkids, and even with a lot of adults, they're going to get hung up a lot. They're going to get a big fish in the brush, and if you've got an 8 or 10-pound leader on there, a lot of times the bass will just simply break it. So if you use a 20-pound braid, you can tie directly to your line. So I'm going to show you how to tie on 20-pound braid. I'm using High Seas Grand Slam braid. Show you exactly what I do to tie it on. First thing you want to do is you do not want to tie immediately directly to the spool. You want to run your line through your eyes of your rod, through the guides, and then tie it to your reel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here, and we've got some 20-pound braid. I get great big spools like this because I use a lot of line. I'm just going to set it down on the floor, because in braid, or in spinning reels, you want your line to come off of the top like this. You don't want your spool rolling around like this. You want your spool sitting still and your line coming off the top. Remember that. Casting reels, you want to turn it where you're pulling your line off and your spool is turning. On a spinning reel, just the opposite. You want your line coming off and your spool staying still. Casting, spool turning, spinning, your spool is steady. So I'm just going to lay that down on the ground, and I'm going to come off the top, the side that's got the label on. Now, that may not be the side you want to come off of. That's where you want to start, though. Start with your label up. Most spools are spooled on where you can have your label up and it's coming off. As your spool turns on your spinning reel, you want that turning in the same direction as coming off, so that it's putting no twist in your line. It's critical. This is a critical point in putting line on a spinning reel. It's got to be coming off in the same direction. I'm going to show you exactly how to find that out in a minute. We can double check and see if we're right or wrong. If it's coming off on the wrong side, we're simply going to turn that spool around and come off on the opposite side. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put those through the eyes of the guides of the rod, eyes or guides, whichever you want to call them. We want to start here at the top. We're going to go down. We're going to go all the way through. They make a little tool, which is a great tool that you can put on your line and just go right down through all those guides and not have to worry or look at it like I'm having to do right now. But we're going to go all the way down. So we're going to have our line already through the guides before we ever tie it onto our spinning reel. We're going to go down through there. The great thing about this, the eyes get bigger as you get further. They get a lot easier to hit. Woo, a lot easier to hit. We're going to go down through all of them. This is a big one right here. You can hit that with your eyes closed. All right, now once we get down to the end, we're going to pull up a little line. Once we get down to the end, I'm going to take and just tie just a little tiny knot in the end of the line. And I'm going to tie that knot in there just so it'll stop that when I go through. Now, it doesn't have to be right in the very end. You don't really want to put it right in the very end. Just a real hard knot. Get you a good knot tied right there. If you want, you can tie 2 of them. And I've got that down close to the end. So I got it down there, and I'm just going to take a pair of scissors. I get these at Bass Pro Shop. They cost like $5.95 or something. I'm just going to cut down close to that, cut that off. And now I've got a knot down at the end. Now, here's a real critical thing. Open your bail. Open your bail like I've done right there. You see how I've opened the bail? I've opened the bail. Now, once I've got the bail open, then I'm going to tie onto the spool. Don't let the bail close. I'm going to lay it right there. And we'll come around here and go down under that spool. And all I'm going to tie here is simply just a little half-inch slip knot. I'm going to come in and just tie a slip knot on it right here. Now, sometimes on braid, and I got a knot tied right in the end of this, right there in the end. Sometimes on braid, I'm going to cinch that down and come down here and cinch it down. Now, so make sure I got it under there. That went down on me. Okay, I'm still okay. I'm going to cinch it down and cinch that down on there tight. Now, I'm not going to go real tight because if I pull real hard on that, it's going to actually pull through that tiny knot. So I'm going to hold this with my hand. I'm going to cinch it down pretty good. But now you see what will happen on this? That whole line will turn on there, you see? Now that's what you want to prevent. So in order to prevent that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and make a couple of half hitches around that spool. See that half hitch I've done right there? Now tighten it up where it won't hardly move. I'm going to make that nice and tight. I'm going to come and make another half hitch. That's my second one around that spool. I've got that good and tight. Now that's getting tighter on there because what you want is you don't want your whole spool of line spinning around. And it will with braid. And it seems like you have no drag. You can tighten your drag as tight as you tighten it. It still spins around. Now I've done 2 of them, so I'm going to do another one. You can do 3 or 4. I'm going to do another half hitch around there. That's a little secret in putting on braid on a spinning reel. You don't have to worry about that on a casting reel. A spinning reel is critical because you want that to stop. You don't want your whole spool to turn. I put 3. I tell you what, for good measure, I'm going to open that thing up. And I'm going to just go ahead and put me another one on. Well, I may not put the 4th one on there. Open that up. Now, you see what I've done? I'm talking about a half hitch. Take this, turn your reel, turn around, and just simply put a half hitch around that. Tighten that half hitch down. Now, I've got 4 of those on there. Now, everything else is simple. You've got your line spooled. I'm going to set this, I got this set on the floor. Now, here's the critical deal. I'm going to turn this around. Now, this is a brand new rod and reel. You can order these Blaze Series rod and reel, JimmyHouston.com. I think they're $79.95. If you order $100 worth from us, we'll pay the shipping. So you order a couple of them, you'll get free shipping. I'm going to tighten my drag up. And I want to make sure that my line's not going to slip. It's not slipping. It's good and solid right there. I'm going to move my hand up here and hold my hand up here about like this, put the butt of the reel against my stomach. And now I'm going to just start winding. It's coming right off the end of that. I'm putting pressure here with my thumb. Wind it as pretty tight on there. Wind it pretty tight. Now, after I've made about 8 or 10 or 12 loops on there, it's coming right off of that. It's coming off the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my bail. And I'm going to just peel off a little bit of line and take a look at it. Now, if you're putting fluorocarbon, if you're putting monofilament, if you're putting copolymer on, do the exact same thing. Don't do anything any differently. Now you look and see what I've got. I have no line twist. You see my line? If you can see it, it's just laying there. If that line starts twisting, it means that I'm coming off on opposite direction, and every time I'm doing it, I'm twisting. This will get really, really twisted. This is laying in here nice and smooth. I'm going to close my bail back. I'm going to come back around here. Now, on most fishing line and on most reels, it will, if you'll have the label up, just like that is right there. The label up. Now, once you've determined, it doesn't matter. If it twists, turn it over and just turn it upside down, come off the bottom side. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to start winding. I've got it down here and I'm going to start winding. All I got to do now is just fill it up. I mean, you've done all the hard work right now. And here in just a couple, 2 or 3 minutes or 5, whatever, we have got this. And now I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. I'm not going to go ahead and put a leader on it right now. But if I want to use a leader, I'll tie maybe an 8 or 10 or 6-pound test leader to my braided line. If I've got any color in the water at all, it's not super clear water, all I'm going to do on that is just tie my lure directly to this braid. If you fish snap and swivel, tie your snap and swivel on there, right directly to the braid. You do not have to use a leader on braid, particularly if you're using something small like 20-pound braid, which is 20-pound braid is what I really, really like to put on spinning gear. That way I can, in big bass, fishing for big bass, I can tie a spinnerbait on it, tie a crankbait, put a plastic worm on there, slip sinker, tie a frog on, whatever you're doing. For a lot of people don't know how to throw a casting reel. They throw spinning reels only, and that's fine. And we're going to fill this reel up. Now, the main thing you want to do is not get too much line on here. So as you start to get toward the top of this, you want to really watch what you're doing. Now, this reel's got black in there. You want to fill it up all the way until you about touch the blue. Right there where you about touch the blue. That's about right. Now, it's better to put a little too much line on than not enough line. So what I'm going to do, now it's about where it ought to be right now, but I'm going to go ahead and I get it up here again, put this down against my stomach, and I'm going to make a few more turns on there, put a little bit of extra line on there. And there you go. Now you've filled it. Now I'm going to come up here to the end of it. This is a 6'6" medium heavy spinning rod. Probably the most versatile spinning rod that you can ever use in fishing. Take my scissors, cut it off. Now I've got it already spooled through my eye, so now all I need to do is tie a fishing lure on. A 6.5 foot medium heavy rod. You can see the action. Whoa, turn that. You can see the action. This has got a little anti-reverse switch right here. It was turned. Now you can see the action. See, that's a pretty heavy rod. All the action's out on the tip. It's got good backbone. You can actually throw a 3/8 ounce Jimmy Houston spinnerbait on this medium heavy rod. You can also put a 16th or a 30 ounce crappie jig on it, a little Lucky Strike crappie jig, and be able to crappie fish with it. You can walleye fish. You can catfish with it. You can put a worm and a slip sinker on here and catch bass on it. A 6.5 foot medium heavy spinning rod is a great spinning rod for lots of different kind of fishing. It's a great rod to start your kids on. That whole outfit, $79.95. $79.95. Rig it up with that 20-pound braid. If you want to put monofilament, fluorocarbon or fluorocarbon coated, that's fine. I like braid. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great time spinning rod fishing. That's how you wind line on a spinning rod. Quick and easy and perfect every time with absolutely no twist. Guys and girls, have you a great time out there, and remember, I sure do love you.